Great, yeah. Hey guys, thanks for having me. Calvin Zhou, one of the co-founders of Shrapnel. I'm more on the business development and crypto side of things. My background is in traditional finance, actually. So I've been, working at investment banks and hedge funds for quite a while. Been a lifetime gamer, but only recently have sort of shifted towards the, gaming as part of my career, and met up with the team about 2 years ago, and it's been a blast ever since.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for the intro. And we have Clint here. It says you're the creative director. Would love to hear more about that and get a quick intro from you as well.
Yeah, hey everybody. So I am the studio creative director for Shrapnel. So my background, I have been designing and making games for 20 years. I actually joined Microsoft when I was 19 in the early days of the original Xbox, and just been making games ever since. So I've worked on BioShock, Forza Motorsport, Red Faction Guerrilla, Saints Row, Forza, etc., etc. And so I came to the team because I actually go back quite a ways with a number of the founders. A number of us worked on BioShock together in the Irrational days. Many of us worked at EA together as well. And so I'm still relatively new to Shrapnel, joined about 4 months ago. But yeah, excited to tell you more about the game.
Awesome. Yeah. So really excited to hear more from your background as well. And then we also have Francis here. Francis, you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, sure. So, Francis, I'm on the BD team, help with the economy and some tech integrations. I have a background in aerospace, so like drones. I've sent something to space before, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Lots of variety here in your background. So really excited to have you guys on. And then, of course, we have our director of gaming, Ed. Ed, you want to say hello?
Hey everybody! I know it's been a crazy couple of days in crypto, but I'm glad you're all here to join us, and I'm excited to have this conversation with the Shrapnel team. And thanks as always for hosting, Kyle.
Absolutely. Yeah. As Ed said, there's a lot going on right now, but really glad that you're all here and the community coming together to hear about another great game that we're bringing to the Avalanche platform. So would love to kind of dive in. And I think the first thing that I'll kick it off, and then I'll send it over to you, Ed. But one of the things that we've been hearing a lot, and that I've been really excited about, is that the Shrapnel has kind of this award-winning team with really incredible pedigree of developers, designers, whoever is putting this game together. And we'd love to kind of hear more about the team that you guys have put together at Shrapnel, and how that's going to be important to bring the game into Web3.
Sure, at a very high level, many of our team comes from HBO Interactive and Microsoft Publishing. And Clint, I'll let you take it away with some of the more details.
Yeah, I mean, it is an incredibly experienced team. It's a big part of what drew me to them. Get to go work with friends I've worked with before. Games are challenging, so having some chemistry with the folks that you're making games with goes a long way. And so the experience starts with Mark Long. He's our CEO. Mark's been making games for more than 25 years, pretty much across every platform you can imagine. He's also a New York Times best-selling graphic novel author. So it's just a really interesting background in terms of creative and technology across the entire team. Beyond Mark, I mean, the rest of the leadership team is all 15, 20 plus year veterans. Games like BioShock Infinite, which I mentioned a number of us worked on together, Sunset Overdrive, Halo, Call of Duty, Spider-Man. We just hired someone who was the content director from Ghost of Tsushima to come join us as well. The Sims, a number of us shipped games like Madden and Tiger Woods, and a variety of EA Sports games as well. And so there's a huge amount of experience, not only making games, but making games across a wide variety of genres. But there's a lot of shooter experience at the core of it. I think the other thing that's interesting about the team is there's also actually a lot of experience in terms of just building platforms. Mark Long was the head of xCloud for Xbox. A number of the team members were a part of the team that built the streaming platforms coming out of HBO. So it's this really interesting background of games and platform, and you can kind of see that in our vision for Shrapnel.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I run into different folks in gaming, whether it's Web 2 or Web 3, and they're like, "Oh, I've spoken to Mark," or "I know Mark," and the team is just really impressive, the pedigree there. And I think that takes us into the next question, which is, AAA is a term that's thrown around so casually. What does that mean to you guys of building a AAA FPS or a AAA game, or even more importantly, a AAA, Web3 game? What does that mean to you, and why does Shrapnel qualify under that?
AAA is always such an interesting moniker, and I think it's evolved over time. And then I've heard people use quadruple A, and over the time, I think it's really just become shorthand for scale. That's not really what it means to me. For me personally, AAA is about feel, right? It's quality. I think players know it when they pick up the controller, when you first fire a gun, when you jump, when you interact with the environment, when you first take that piece of damage, that feel with the controller or the mouse and the keyboard, the feedback, feeling like you're rooted in the world. Things have weight, the way that the character moves and the way that you slam against the wall and the way that you mantle out of a window. Like, all of those things are about feel. And for me, the most important component of AAA is feel. And so that's why it's one of the biggest things that we are focused on. I think everything streams out of that. And for me, the most important aspect of AAA is landing that high quality feel.
That was a very thorough explanation. Thank you for that. Let's get into the meat of this before we get into more like diving into the details and the tech. I would love to just hear in your words what Shrapnel is. Like give me the elevator pitch of why people should be excited about this game at a high level.
Yeah, sure. I'll cover the high level, and then Clint could probably fill in the juicy details. So at a high level, you could think of us as a Roblox or Minecraft meets Call of Duty or a Fortnite, a first-person shooter on the blockchain. The game changer is really this creator mode, where players and community members can express their creativity by building maps, map objects, or even like skins and whatnot. In this lush environment, this platform type environment that's never really been seen or done before, especially not a platform where the community members can be creators and owners of the platform as well. So we're really just a platform. We're seeding the first couple of maps, but we're giving the community the right tools for creating their own maps and skins and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll jump in with the rest, and I'll try to be brief, even though I have a tendency to want to talk about this a lot. So at its core, Shrapnel's a tactical first-person kind of extraction shooter, right? I don't know how many of you read the white paper. There's a little bit of the kind of the world building in that, but it takes place in a world where this massive asteroid 38 Sigma collides with the moon, creates this huge like lunar meteorites that just bombard a section of the Earth. It creates this band that becomes essentially uninhabitable. It gets walled off from the rest of the world, normalized within the world, and everybody kind of goes on with their business. This area becomes known as the sacrifice zone, and it kind of belongs to nobody. But over time, the world starts to actually discover there's incredibly valuable resources within the sacrifice zone. Pieces of shrapnel, pieces of 38 Sigma, mysterious materials that are enabling all kinds of new technology. And so what happens? You have this section of the world walled off from the rest of the universe, but suddenly there's real value there. And it becomes this competition for corporations descending, building their own, what we call MEFs, military extraction forces, that are descending into the sacrifice zone in order to extract that material. So the player plays as one of those operators. Your goal is going to be to go into that extraction zone, secure and extract those resources. But obviously, it's going to be hyper competitive. You're going to be going into that zone with a number of other players. There are only going to be so many seats on the drop ships that get the players out. The idea being that we're always kind of daring the player to take a little bit more risk, to go a little bit deeper into the zone, to go just a little bit further and take those bigger risks to chase the biggest rewards. It's a big part of how we think about the game. We want this constant risk-reward balance that players are doing in their head, and then give them tons of agency in how they do that. So at its core, we really do think of it as kind of a high-stakes treasure hunting experience where players are competing with each other for those resources, competing for seats on the drop ships, and taking those big risks in order to get those big rewards or die trying.
And I just want to stress before that, what I said before about the Roblox and Minecraft analogy, we are specifically extraction-based shooters, so you can't create Mario Kart inside of Shrapnel, right? That's not the purpose of the platform in the game. We want to constrain most of the variables and focus the players and the builders on the 1% that matters, which is creating maps and skins and whatnot, right? So I just want to make sure everyone's clear that this is not a sandbox. We're a very fine-tuned sandbox with a very specific gameplay mode in mind.
Awesome. So is this 8v8? Is that what the modes are?
So we're going to figure out what's right, but my personal instinct is it's actually going to vary based on the map. In a game that wants to have this huge UGC component, we want the community building maps that surprise us and taking shapes and creating kind of gameplay within the construct of Shrapnel that we didn't anticipate. I want to make sure the community has tons of flexibility when they want to create things. And so I fully expect we'll have some maps that are probably 8v8. I like the idea of having maps that are all the way up to 40 players, right, with 45 to 60 minute sessions. We're going to play with those different links and those different density of players, but I want to make sure we have some flexibility for our creators to really explore and kind of make stuff that gets them excited.
Yeah, we've obviously spent a lot of time together with Calvin and Francis and the team, so it's very impressive. It's been impressive since the beginning, just seeing how thoughtful you guys are about building in Web3. So I know you guys have talked about like this custom map aspect. When I played Counter-Strike, I played a ton on like these custom maps, and the ability to award some of these designers at the community and with tokens and stuff is really exciting. What other pieces are kind of unique about Shrapnel in this FPS meets Web3 scenario? Like, from what you can talk about, are the weapon skins all NFTs? Is everything an NFT? What other like really interesting Web3 things can you tease out that you're bringing to the table that people can be excited about?
Sure. Well, just to reiterate on that point, we're very proud of the fact that all of our digital assets are on chain except for bullets and consumables. So the maps are on chain, the map objects are on chain, the weapons and gear are all on chain, and the skins are all on chain, right? One thing that we're thinking that we're making innovations on is the whole attribution system for the creator side of things. So we understand that not every map creator wants to create everything in the map. There's going to be division of labor. Just like when you build a house, you don't go cut down the tree yourself. There's going to be many co-creators in the map. So you could specialize in just creating barrels or bridges or streets or obstacles and buildings, right? You could mint those as NFTs and place those NFTs that you own on a marketplace for map creators to pull and license in their maps. So as a map creator, you don't have to start from zero. You can actually just leapfrog a lot of the process of building these prefabs by licensing other people's prefabs. What this does is because we share revenue with all the map creators based on popularity, there's this beautiful attribution system that happens where everyone who's an NFT holder in the map gets their cut of the pie, right? Now, if you compare this to traditional Web2 models such as YouTube, where there's a bunch of co-creators, in a video, that's not so transparent because usually one YouTube account holder gets all the revenues, then sort out the revenue attribution in the back end. So I think we're making some really cool innovations in this space.
Yeah, and I think on the game side too, like one of our top pillars, like one of the ways we think about the game is every session feels like its own story, right? So that comes down to the unpredictable elements, that comes down to a meteor shower that suddenly erupted in the middle of a gunfight that changed the choices the player made and that impacted the loadout they wish they had in that moment. These are not stories that I, as a designer, would tell the player. They're stories that the player tells, right? It's our job to create environment tools, systems that give players that ability, right? So I love that idea of players sharing that story where they got into that fight in the early game. They ended up with a leg injury. They scrambled into a building. They ripped the bullet out of their leg. They were able to bandage it up and kind of make their way to one of those early drop ships and they got out with the loot. Or another player telling their story about how they came in armed to the teeth. They built a loadout for endgame. They risked everything, all of their gear, everything, in order to make it all the way to the end game, capture that really rare loot that only shows up in the end game, and they got out with their lives. when I start thinking about those kinds of stories, and then I mix it with items that have real world value, digital ownership, it just raises the stakes on all of that. And it feels like it superpowers the kinds of stories and the kinds of behaviors that we'll see in that sort of environment. Then you mix that in with UGC, you allow creators to create new environments to be able to tell their own stories. And I think that's one of the things that gets me really excited, is just seeing the stories that are going to come out of these sessions, not only from creators, but also from players.
And one more thing that I think we're doing a little different than some of the other games is that we've battle tested our economy. It's pretty sound. We've nerded out over this for quite a few months, and we're actually simulated the economy using Imagination software to make sure that everything is sound.
Sweet. I think moving on to the graphics, and it's one thing to hear the team talk about kind of the lore and the vision and the team behind it. The sneak peeks have been extremely impressive. I think you can see it on some of them on the Twitter at Play Shrapnel, in the Discord, discord.gg/Shrapnel, in the announcements channel. I think we might try to throw up, showcase some of those links as well. I believe this game is built in Unreal Engine. Can you talk about kind of that design process, the concept art, what players can expect in terms of the graphics and the fidelity of just the experience of playing Shrapnel?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it in some of those concept pieces, but it's really important for us, for the world to have a texture, the world to have a sense of place. It was a big part of how we thought about the sacrifice zone. We wanted this evocative place, this idea of, an area where there are no laws and people are, killing each other over these valuable resources, and then a daycare only separated by a wall. Like, what does that world look like? What does it look like in a world where that just becomes normalized? And the operators that are venturing into the sacrifice zone, they just do a very dangerous job, but the world knows we need those resources, so we're comfortable with it. We want a world that reflects that. So we think about that in terms of the concept art. We think about that in the texture of the world. And also, when you start thinking about UGC and maps and kind of going back to empowering creators, we wanted to make sure that our style guide, our aesthetic, all of it, that we had tons of room to play with. I think that's the other thing about the sacrifice zone. It's a massive area, goes across a wide variety of terrains and countries and climates. And so I think it's really interesting to think about, how do you create this game that's visually evocative, visually consistent, but then turn that over to creators and make sure they have the tools to be able to do the same. It's a big part of why we chose Unreal, because it really helps us do that. But for us, it really just comes down to how do we make the sacrifice zone an evocative place where players want to go. They always feel like there's something new to discover, mysteries to unfold, and mysteries to uncover as you're exploring the sacrifice zone. And we always want that to come through in the world art.
Yeah, and so is this world art that we're seeing, again, showcased in Discord and on Twitter, on socials, is that rendered in game? And is this the type of experience that we will see if we're playing live?
Those are our visual targets, and so those are absolutely what we are pursuing. Those are not currently rendered in engine, but those are our visual targets, and we believe we will get there.
Awesome. Cool. Let's move on to kind of the in-game economics and kind of the blockchain aspect. I think we are in this maturation point in, I think, Web3 gaming, where we're moving more into, again, the AA, AAA core game experiences where, this game is going to be fun to play. It's going to be massively multiplayer. And people are going to be spending a lot of time in this game. And where you're going to really differ from kind of the traditional Web2 first-person shooter is adding in this economic layer along with NFTs and items. But talk about how the in-game economy works, how that's sustainable, what people can get excited about in terms of playing the game beyond just gameplay.
Yeah, sure. So I think one of the main things to talk about is that Calvin said that the economy has been simulated, and there's a few actionable items that we wanted to get out of that. We wanted to know that the player base could be dynamic. We could have a loss of players and the economy would still be sustainable, and we could have an influx of players and items wouldn't get too expensive. So there's things like that we wanted to know from economic modeling, as well as to maintain kind of a stable price in the assets, because you don't want to necessarily sit there and play a game and have to think, oh, maybe I just want to hold this because in the future it might be worth $10, it might be worth 10 cents. You just want to play the game itself. In the whole economy, it's focused on stability and then also redistributing any value created by players when they put money into the game and giving it out to creators. So we have the vanity items being created and the maps being created, and we want to give money back to them, and that's what the token economy allows us to do. It allows us to create this circular world where the people actually generating value for the game, they can receive the value that is being given to the platform by the players.
Nice, and so that's in the form of tokens, economic incentives, and reasons to keep playing for the players. And is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I mean, I think high level, like, participation comes in different forms. As long as you're, contributing value to the platform, you get rewarded for it by a share of the tokens, which represents ownership of the platform, right? So you don't have to be a player to contribute to the platform. You can also be a creator as well, right? You can also be a voter of things, a voter of content. There's many different ways to add value in the Shrapnel ecosystem.
Yeah. Nice. Moving on to kind of deeper in the blockchain space, and I always ask this because we are on the Avalanche Twitter handle here on Spaces. I will say your process was very long in looking for a blockchain. I think you had talked to every layer 1 through layer 10 protocol in the world, it feels like, and you finally arrived at the conclusion that you wanted to be on Avalanche. Can you talk about that process, why you went with us, and how it's been so far?
Yeah, so I mean, the main reason we kind of went with you guys was Subnets. It's a beautiful piece of technology which allows us to be fully customizable and future-proof. So we can make our own tech stack based off the tech that Avalanche provides, which is, some of the best layer 1 tech in the business. It's green, it's efficient, it's got fast finality, which is super important in terms of gaming. We don't want people waiting for 5+ seconds to have the transaction finalized. We want it to be done near instantly so that there's no traction issues in terms of getting Web 2 players on board. So that there's just that. And then we can also do things like productizing the chain. So we can make this entire tech stack and actually introduce other games to it so they can run on AAA quality technology on the blockchain.
Nice. So confirming that on launch, Shrapnel is going to be a participant with Subnets, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. And we're super excited to build that out because it is fully customizable to the point where we can change things out as we go along. If we find better tech and we need things for scalability, we can introduce those later down the line.
Yeah, that's what sold me is sort of the blank canvas approach where we can pick and choose what part of the tech stack we want and swap it out at all times. It's really that modular framework that we were looking for on Subnets.
Yeah, just for the audience, it's been very impressive to see kind of the Shrapnel engineering team and blockchain team go really deep with our engineering team. Just absolutely nerding out in some of these group chats to the point that I sometimes have to Google some of the terms that they're going back and forth on. Let's move to community. I think it's awesome that we're talking about a AAA experience, like high fidelity graphics, very experienced team in gaming. To have this at scale, we need to scale up to millions of players. So how are you engaging your community? Let's start with like top of the funnel, how you're thinking about user acquisition and marketing and go to market as you're prepping for launch.
I think just a general comment on that is we can actually make the game appear as a Web 2 game very easily. So you can subsidize transactions. You can make it so people don't need to have a MetaMask. They can sign up and then custody the assets later. So there's a lot of friction issues in terms of Web 3 where you don't necessarily want to see connect your wallet immediately. You can if you want, but we want to remove those layers of abstraction where it's like, I just want to play the game, which I think a lot of games aren't really getting at the moment. And then in terms of engaging the community, we're doing it through introducing them to what the AAA process is like. So we've got a lot of transparency. We've been talking about our experience a lot on our Discord, hosting stages and various AMAs where people can really dig deep and just see the process and see what it's like from the inside, as opposed to traditionally what you have with AAA games where they just close that garden off. You have a trailer 2 years before the game's released, you hear nothing, and then the game just drops. So a lot of the marketing strategy is about introducing them to these concepts and really bringing them along for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, I can't stress this enough that, one of the education and educating community on actually participating in the co-development of this platform is really clutch. And that is the viral marketing engine that really kicks us off. I mean, I can go on and talk about influencers and KOLs and, all these other, Web3 marketing strategies, but the true marketing strategy is the community. It's done through educating them on how to become a weekend warrior AAA content creator, right? Like before, if you wanted to, if you're really into games and you want to participate in game dev, you have to have a career at Riot or Epic and whatnot, right? You're priced out of that. But here, because we're giving them tools that are easy to use and we educate them on how to create content with it, I think our community will be that content marketing engine that will go viral on social media.
Yeah, it's been really cool having been in the Discord pretty early on. Tell everybody about this concept of Echo Company and how that interacts with the community and how you're offering them the ability to make certain decisions in the game and bringing them closer into that experience.
Yeah, so Echo Company is our earliest 2,000 members, plus a group of people that have been actively contributing to the Discord, be it growth, be it just through being great community members that we kind of want to involve in this process. So they get exclusive looks and sneak peeks at various pieces of content. For example, they actually got to decide early on the canisters within the game. So that's what you use to extract the shrapnel from the games. So they got to decide how they looked. They got to vote on two pieces of them. It was and Rabbit's Foot ended up winning, which we'll actually see in some of the upcoming content that we're releasing. So it's really the idea of having this inner circle where we can drop them, exclusives, behind the scenes footage, all the stuff that you really want to see before everyone else gets to see it. And then including them in various giveaways, like we dropped them an Echo Company NFT, as well as access to whitelist for an upcoming NFT drop we're doing.
Nice. Yeah, it's been pretty cool to be part of Echo Company. This is obviously a competitive title at its core, with first-person shooters, skill-based. So that begs the question of, that does ask, like, how are you getting kind of guilds and how are you thinking about esports teams or esports in general? I see Andy Din, who's the founder of TSM, world-renowned esports team in here. Hey, Andy. But yeah, it would just be great to know how you're thinking about engaging that side of the community, how you're bringing competition to the forefront. Who can you talk about in terms of guilds or esports teams that are looking to get involved?
Yeah, I mean, we would love to partner with any collective, any group, any organization that's in gaming, and that's how I view guilds and esports teams, right? We actually do want to expand more on the creator side of things because I do believe the open metaverse should be populated with not just players but also creators, and we're lacking a lot of games on the creator side that allows people to populate, the metaverse with content, and we are seeing a lot of guilds form around that. I view them as sort of metaverse architecture firms. So we would love to see guilds involved more in that space. Obviously, the player side of things has a lot of scholars and skill-based groups of people, but I definitely want to see more on the creator side as well.
So are you saying that you're looking to bring in creators early on in this process? Like how have you like play tested this, or have you gotten feedback from pro players, influencers? Like how are you thinking about involving them in that creative process? Going back to what Francis was saying around you're kind of building in public right now.
Right. So just really teaming up with the creator guilds, and I hate to use the word creator guild, but just any group or organization that wants to create things in the metaverse. Come talk to us. We want to work together on, sorting out how to, amplify the creator side of our ecosystem.
And quickly looping that back to the economy, the way the game is designed, if you create value, you will be rewarded with some kind of value. That is a core ethos of the way Shrapnel is built, and it's something that's going to, I think, be really cool when it comes to actually the success of the game.
Yeah, and obviously on the esports side of things, yes, we do plan on making Shrapnel very esports compatible, with sort of there will be people who will make esports compatible maps and esports dedicated maps that are well balanced and whatnot. So
nice. Okay. What does the roadmap look like for the rest of this year into next year for Shrapnel? And then tell us upcoming key dates that people want to be aware of, whether it's NFT sales or token sales or other previews. Give the audience a sneak peek here.
Yeah, so roadmap. I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble if I give you specific dates, but I would just say within the near future, you're going to see a public token sale. You're going to see creator tools come out to where you can start editing, skins and badges, potentially even maps and prefabs, and then sometime in the near future, you can load up into a game, a map, hold a gun, and start shooting it.
Okay, cool. The term metaverse, the M word, gets thrown around a lot these days. How do you find that term? How does it coexist with Shrapnel? How do you guys think about that in the context of what you're building?
So I'll give a high level answer, and then I think Francis has a pretty interesting one as well for this. So in my view, we're building a very fine-tuned metaverse without actually saying we're building a metaverse. We've got everything. We've got all the elements of a metaverse, such as just a well-rounded economy that's running and it's been battle tested. Lending and borrowing inside the platform. We have not just sessions between games, but we have a social space concept in between sessions, in between games, to cool down and let you sort of chill out and hang out with your friends, so that there is one sort of continuous gameplay instead of just going from one match to another. You can call that a metaverse if you want, but that's just sort of high level what we're thinking about. But we don't want to use the M word because it's used quite a lot. But what we are building essentially are the core elements of a metaverse. So Francis, why don't you bring in some more detail?
Yeah, so I think when a lot of people at the moment say they're building a metaverse, what they're actually building is this closed ecosystem that's just encapsulated within itself. Nobody can interact with anyone outside of it. And what you really want to see from a metaverse is a Ready Player One style. Everyone can interact with anything that exists. So the core ethos of what metaverses should shift to is allowing other people to interact with your game and interact with things on your platform without actually impeding their design process and impeding what they're creating. It should be a collective of people that just want to build and make tools that make it easier for other people to interact with what's in your game, not forcing them into this, like shoehorning them basically into your platform and saying, you have to build here and you can never leave.
Nice. Okay. I think we're wrapping up with the last few questions here. So if anybody has questions that they want to ask, start requesting and get in line, and we'll open it up after this for people to ask the Shrapnel team anything. But I did ask in the Echo Company Discord if they had any questions, and Iceman Crypto actually had one where he or she is asking, for a Web2 gamer coming into the NFT crypto space, they might not know how play to earn or play to own that mechanism works. Could you just explain in macro terms how the average gamer can start playing and make money, and how the project makes money from the game?
Sure. So the average player will come in and essentially, have gear. You can either buy the gear up front, or you can, borrow them from institutions such as guilds, or you can enter our free-to-play mode, which is kind of equivalent to the scav mode from Tarkov. And when you enter a session, if you kill somebody and you take basically you kill somebody, their gear drops. If you take that gear and then successfully extract with it, that gear becomes yours, which then has a market value that you can liquidate through a couple of loops back to US dollars. So the gear would be swapped for Shrap, our native token, and then that you could swap that for USDC or whatnot. So that's really the primary earning potential from a player's perspective. It's PvP. It's a zero-sum game. When you kill somebody, your win is their loss. There's also ways to earn just for your time by being a player. You can fulfill quests to earn as well. But the bulk of the earning power comes from demonstrating skill, killing people with high-value gear, and then taking that from them. Now, there's also an earning mechanism from the creator side. We understand there's a lot of people who like to watch, who like to create. There's going to be something for those people as well, because not everyone wants to come in and just get headshot every time and just completely wipe out. So we do have something for creators. If you create cool maps, create good content, then you also get a portion of the rewards pool.
There's something as well for people that just discover great content. I think we're going to end up probably with a lot of content on the platform, and we need people that can go out there and find something that's fun to play, or if it's a vanity item, like just good to look at. And those people are going to get rewarded too. So anything that creates value on the platform is a way for people to potentially earn from the platform.
That's right.
Cool. Last question I had was, I know you had mentioned at the beginning that this is kind of like Roblox mashed up with Call of Duty. First-person shooter is obviously a massive genre. In your mind, no right answer, what type of first-person shooter player or pro do you think would be the best fit for Shrapnel? Is it your traditional CSGO? Is it Call of Duty? Is it a Battle Royale player like Apex? What do you guys think?
Clint?
I'll jump in on this one. Yeah, it's really interesting. The way that we're thinking about the player in Shrapnel, we actually want to support a variety of play styles. We're thinking about that in terms of how we design our gear, how we think about loadouts, how we think about the player affordances, what they can do in the world. We're playing with the idea of players being able to kind of use information as a weapon. Being able to track other teams, know when drop ships are coming in early to get the jump on other teams. And so I think it's a variety. I mean, obviously, the classic extraction games will apply, a game like Tarkov. But I also want a game where players can come in and they can really specialize in that InfoSec role. They can go deep on that. They can master it, where really their expression of skill isn't necessarily about acquiring a target and putting them down. Their skill is about tracking the other targets for their teammates so that their teammates can take them down so they can win as a team. So we're really thinking about the player in that way. Like, how do we support these different play styles? How do we make sure that there's enough depth and mastery there that we would appeal to a wide variety of players, from Tarkov to PUBG to Call of Duty, et cetera, so that they can find a way to play that's exciting for them, but that there's enough depth there to keep them feeling like there's always something new to learn, always a way for them to get better.
Nice. Okay. I lied. There's one last question I see in the community chat. Pradeep had a few. I'm going to ask one of them, which is, what types of graphics optimization or requirements will be needed for users to play this game?
Clint, you want to take that one?
Off the top of my head, I am probably not the right person for it. I think we're much better off with somebody like Arun on the tech side to help flesh that one out. So is that one maybe we could take back to Discord and Arun could answer? Because I want to make sure it gets answered correctly.
Yeah, I think it is on Unreal's website in terms of minimum requirements, and it is actually the same as Unreal 4 at the moment, but obviously everything's subject to change. So
great. So stay tuned to the Discord for that answer. Well, that's all the questions that I had today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna now open up the space for Q&A from the audience. So I'm gonna hand it over to Kyle.
Awesome. Thanks, Ed. And thanks to the three of you guys for really breaking that down. I think that was super informative, and man, can't wait to see this come to life. So we'd love to kind of take a few fan questions from the audience here. There's a few that have requested already, so I'll call you up. Again, as with all of our Twitter spaces, we want to keep the conversation and questions super focused on the guests that we have here, on Shrapnel, on the game economy and everything. So let's keep it super focused. I know there's a million things going on right now, but we'd love to spend this time with the three of you guys here on their game. So let me bring up some people to ask some questions. Flight of Legends, you were requested a while ago. Let's see if your audio works. Go for it. Looks like you're still on mute. You want to try come off mute? All right, let's see if we can get him going in a second. But also, just as a reminder, you have to be on your mobile to speak on Spaces. I know it's ridiculous, but if you're not on mobile, it's not going to work. So we'll come back to you in a second. We're going to go here with KG.
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you. Go ahead.
What's up?
Hello.
Hey, my name is Kagi. I'm a content creator. Been here for more than 2 years, creating NFT Web3 content. And yeah, my question is basically, I wanted to know if you guys are looking, to collaborate with content creators. I see that you guys already have collaborations with guilds or VCs like Murray Circle, but they don't necessarily offer like content creation. Is that something that you guys are looking for? I think it's an important pillar when you're starting a game and educating the community at the beginning. So yeah, that's my question.
Yes. Just sort of umbrella statement. We do see content creation as the pillar of the open metaverse. What I'm seeing today in a lot of sort of these Web3 games is that they're really Web 2.5, Web 2 games plus NFTs. Right, they don't have that UGC user-generated content mode, that creator mode, that allows players and users to not just spend their time playing the game and mining it, but also contributing to the content portion of it. So we love all content creators for that purpose, and just come talk to us. Hit us up on Discord and let's have a chat.
Yeah, I gave you a follow. I don't know if I can DM you, but yeah, would love to have a talk with you and definitely bring you guys to my channel and interview you for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, thanks, Kagi. Let's go on to the next one. Jonah, let me add you up here, see if this works. Go ahead.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I've been following your game pretty closely, and I've read your white paper. Specifically around, my question would be around tournament and bracket creation. How do you see rights? Because I've been in gaming for a little bit, not nearly as long as you guys have, but I'm aware of rights. Rights are the biggest thing between Web 2 and Web 3. It's not actually gameplay, it's IP rights. How do you see IP rights around working with esports orgs, esports tournaments, and how do you handle prize pool? Are you going to go the Dota 2 route, or have you, disclosed anything of that nature?
Francis, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the things that we've considered from the start is, this is a very, very nice game for esports. Competitive play kind of fits in really well with constantly having value or risk. And there's absolutely no reason why players can organize their own tournaments. And that prize pool couldn't be a Dota 2 style. Like, there's a lot of autonomy in terms of what you can do within the system. So we can have our own tournaments. And there's just a plethora of ways that we could go about it. And it's built with that in mind, that everything should be available to do from the player's aspect in both the competitive and non-competitive side.
Okay, cool. And then obviously you can plead the fifth. I live in the United States anyway. We can plead the fifth here. But in terms of rights and abilities to form your own tournaments, most games in Web 2 have certain caps based on prize pools and other factors, and they gate specific things. since you're building Web3, what does that look like? Are you don't care about gating? You're not going to limit price pool for your own circuit. How far have you thought about those rights?
So far, there's been zero discussion in terms of capping what is available to win. So hopefully that answers your question.
Cool, thanks. I'm interested in your game. I've been following it and looking forward to trying it out and learning more about you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jonah. All right, let's go to the next one here. We had up Arrogant Avax. You're up. Let me add you here. All right, looks like it's connecting. All right, go ahead.
Yo, this is working.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I've followed along for a pretty good while. I actually wrote an article on Shrapnel a while back for today, Avalanche Today.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Yes, sir. I was interested to see. I noticed you guys had the head of TSM in here earlier. I actually played competitive H1Z1 Battle Royale back in the day. I was with Team Gates, and we played against TSM. And it's really great to see the advancement come this far and what you guys got going on now. But pretty much, I was kind of curious on the tournament situation and the last speaker. You guys kind of covered everything there. But so while I'm up here, just good job. I'm really looking forward to it.
Sweet, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
Awesome,
we put a
man.
lot of thought into this one.
Oh, sorry, that was my bad. Thanks for jumping on. We're adding a couple other speakers here, and it kicked you off. Sorry about that. All right, let's go to Mario. All right, you're up.
Hello?
Can you go off mute and try it out? There you go.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey,
I'm at work right now. I'm currently on my break. I'm feasting on a Mexico City sirloin taco, but I just noticed you guys are hosting this space, and I'm just trying to see what it was about, like what game you guys are building. Is it multiple games?
I'm sorry. Was there a question in there?
I'm just trying to stay informed, like what game you're building, like what's it called exactly?
What game?
Yeah.
Oh, only the best, man. We're building a AAA quality extraction-based first-person shooter with a creator mode. Everything is going to be on Avalanche Subnets, and all of our assets, except for bullets and consumables, are going to be on chain. Hopefully that answers some of the question.
Yeah, that was a good top line overview again.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I did forget to mention is that the difference, like for those who don't understand extraction shooters, the real game changer there is there's this RPG element on top of a FPS. So with an extraction shooter, you do have a persistent inventory, whereas in battle royales, your inventory resets every match, right? And so with this concept of persistence in inventory, what happens is in a match, whatever you keep goes back to your sort of persistent inventory that you can then take whatever gear you want back in for the next match and risk that gear essentially. So you do have that collecting element, the element of grinding, collecting better gear, putting that back in your stash, and then figuring out which ones you want to risk for the next match. I think it makes a lot of sense for blockchain, especially because blockchains record state and state transitions. So that works perfectly for permanent persistent inventories, right? But battle royales, on the other hand, the state is constantly resetting, so it's tough to make that kind of work with blockchains.
Awesome, thanks, man. All right, let's see. It looks like we probably have a chance for one more. So let me call one up here, and then Arrogant, I'm gonna get back to you because I kicked you off here in a second. But hold on one sec. Captain CI, I know that you requested a while ago, so let's see if this works. All right, go ahead.
Oh, thanks. Hi guys. I just wanted to ask what consoles do you intend to release the game on? And because I created a platform that's still Avalanche powered, where people who own consoles can be able to host games, and gamers can walk in and play. So, what consoles do you plan to host it in?
So we're going to be PC first. If you want to play with a controller, that will be, you can definitely hook up a controller to a PC and make that work. But specifically for consoles, that's going to be on the roadmap, but way later down the line, it's going to be PC first.
Awesome.
And that's just to target the the hardcore, the core competitive market, who you tend to play on PCs as well. But if you're more welcome to bring a controller as well.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for the question. We got one more that we're going to let up here. 6 feet. Let's try this one. All right. Go ahead.
Hey guys, how's it going? Great spaces so far.
Hey.
So I just have one quick question. As someone who is an extremely competitive gamer, one of my main concerns is cheaters. And now with the potential of earnings, you guys will obviously be targeted for exploits. As someone who has over 1.5K hours in Tarkov, I know that Battlestate Games has about 1/3 of their entire resources used to deal with cheaters. Now, how does being a Web3 company give you an edge against these bad actors?
Yeah, Francis, you want to tackle this one and maybe talk about private chains?
Yeah, so one of the really awesome things you can do is make the chain information private, so people can't exploit what they don't know anything about. And I think that's something that's pretty awesome in terms of what we can do. And then there's also the fact that we know the history of the blockchain. So say for whatever reason you did manage to kind of cheat and effectively steal someone's gear or someone's content, then we know that we can track that history. We see what you've interacted with. We see what you've taken and where it came from, and the actions can be taken in terms of reimbursement to give back to the person that stole something, and also things can be done to take away and prevent the use from the person that did steal something. And then there's even higher stakes because things do have value. So technically that is a criminal offense. So there's just tons more depth that we can go into. Then obviously the team itself, like we've had so much experience making anti-cheat for other games and incorporating anti-cheat from various software developers into our game as well. So
awesome. Thanks for the response.
Awesome. Great question. All right. So we are at time here, trying to wrap things up. We got a few minutes. So I wanted to kick it back over to our guest from Shrapnel on any final words for the community, what people should be looking out for, anything that you're excited in coming up in the next few weeks. Just a kind of final sign off to everybody here listening in.
Yeah, just one thing. I just really want to get the community involved in sort of co-creating and co-developing this game with us. So we plan to be a lot more engaging and releasing educational pieces and really getting folks that basically like learning the Unreal Engine and taking a part in the creation process as well. So we think it's an integral part of the open metaverse theory. I don't see a lot of games enabling this sort of creative mode. And so glad to be the first to sort of tread that water.
Yeah, just to double down on that, I think we've hit it a couple of times, but this idea of an engaged community is really a paradigm shift from traditional game dev. And so, over the next few months, we want to open up the creative process even more, walk the community through our pillars, our creative promises, what our process was for getting there, how we thought about those things, get their feedback, make sure they have a voice in this. And then really, all building up to the point where the community is going to be playing the game early and often. And so I think those are the next big steps for us, is just to continue to engage with the community, make sure that they have a voice in this creative process. And I'm looking forward to sharing more as we go.
Yeah, and not to be a parrot, but we did on our Discord do a lot of stages and events where we kind of teach people about the process. So if you're interested in that and you kind of want to get involved and you don't know where to start, just come to the Discord. We host things. We'll teach you. We can get to know you. We're people too. We hang out there as well. So just have fun with us. That's kind of what we're all about here.
Yeah, amazing. really excited to see this all come out, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun things happening in the Discord over the next couple weeks and couple months, and it's all about having fun and co-creating together, which is perfect for a game like this. It's perfect for bringing more users into Web3, so it's super exciting, and thanks for walking us through all this. I think all of us here definitely learned a lot more about how the game works, and I'm really looking forward to it. Ed, anything else from you?
No, just thank you again to the Shrapnel team. We're so excited to see more and get some sneak peeks and spending some time with us. Thank you everybody for listening here. If you didn't know, now you know that Avalanche is a gaming chain, and we've got a lot in store. So stay tuned to our socials, and a lot more coming this year.
Yeah, and one final plug too. We just made public the gaming reveal of a sneak peek from Avalanche Summit that Calvin did. So that video is on our Twitter, and we'll post it up in the next day or so. So you guys can all check that out there too. So yeah, really thank you guys again for joining, and thanks everybody else for coming on with us and all the great questions. And we'll be back soon with another Avalanche Spaces. So thanks everyone for joining, and stay safe out there.
Yeah,
Thanks, everybody.
For sure. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Cool.